If they were fire sailing, why didn't they sell off Yandy? Why didn't they sell off Belau? They're making $8.5 million. Why didn't they complete the deal? Right? If you're going to fire sale and you need the money, why aren't you going all in on it? So it's to me, it's not a fire sale if you have assets that people are asking about and you're keeping them.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Rays, your daily podcast covering everything Tampa Bay Rays, from game analysis to player interviews. We've got you covered with all the latest news and insights. My name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
It's your boy, Evan Closky.
We appreciate it. Back again, bringing you expert analysis and passionate discussions about our beloved Rays.
That's right. Whether you're a diehard fan who vividly remembers Longo's game 162 just like us,
or you remember the early Devil Ray days of Wade Boggs or Carl Crawford,
we are here to break down every play, every trade, and every milestone. In fact, this is our 6th season covering the Rays daily.
And every season they've gone to the playoffs, hopefully again, but probably not. So in the meantime, however, grab your favorite Rays gear, settle in, subscribe to our Locked On Rays YouTube channel and other podcast platforms. You can also find us on X and Instagram at Locked On Rays.
This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply.
I feel like Evan is a busy man. We have trade deadline, Pinellas County vote. We have NFL training camp, college football getting ready to ramp up, the NCAA 25 video game out. I mean, how do you have any time to even be in the studio right now?
I leave the NCAA video game stuff to David Shealy. But yeah, I mean, Tuesday was certainly crazy with everything surrounding the Rays, on top of the Bucks having a night practice, on top of USF football having media day. So you just you grind through it. There's a reason why you have the off season, and then now it's the preseason. So we still got the Rays to cover, and they're still keeping us busy. But we kind of trend towards that October. Well, I don't know if there'll be an October to worry about this year. We'll see. Hopefully there is. But we trend towards that September, October area where the Lightning get into the mix as well. And then eventually kind of, whittle it down to a two-market thing. And you bob and weave all the way up until kind of the bolts are out of the playoffs.
You mentioned it's kind of going into crescendo here. We saw the Marlins split with the Rays at the Trop. Not a lot of hitting with runners in scoring position. I said to Kevin, I'm no football man, but it does feel like playoffs, like the Rays are like third and long and like kind of very long. Can it happen? Yeah. I've seen Aaron Rodgers do it in the playoffs in a Hail Mary and get a touchdown. Sure. But the odds are not looking so good. Is that somehow relatable to you with what's going on with the Rays?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there were a lot of fans out there who want to push this narrative that, kind of like the Rays are giving up, or, other things that you see where this kind of fire sale was precipitated to save money, which I think was always going to be part of the equation anyway in the offseason, because you know what? That's what the Rays do. They've always done it, even when they're amazing. But really the issues concern itself with, like, they just finished up the soft part of their schedule, like in the second half of the season. So no surprise that the Rays were playing some better baseball. They took advantage of some situations, and they've been generally, outside of the House of Horrors in Arlington, generally been playing pretty darn good baseball for a while now of winning a series. They finally rattled off 4 in a row for the first time since, for the first time in a month. They rattled off. They had 3 in a row.
Yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, sorry. They rattled off 3 in a row for the first time in a month. But they, the 4, 5, and 6s, those elude them. And if you go back to last year, they won 13. If you go back to like even 21, when they won the pennant, they had like an 11 gamer. When you go back to 22, when they were that wild card team, they also, I think, had like multiple 6 gamers in there. It's just, they're not able to string a bunch together. And when you're competing with 4 other teams ahead of you, you have to understand that they're above average as well. So like winning 2 of 3 is typically what those teams do as well. So to gain ground, you need to rattle off 6 in a row, because at minimum, you're going to gain 2, and maybe you'll gain 3. And when we talk about that, all of a sudden, you're now in that spot you need to be. So winning a series is great, but it gives you 0 margin for error to ever lose a series, or for that matter, it gets swept. And then, look at the opponents they have to play. They're going to head to Houston, St. Louis, Baltimore, Houston again. Got to play Arizona. Got to head to L.A. Got to play Seattle. Got to play San Diego, who's hot now. Got to, play Minnesota, Baltimore, Philly, Cleveland, Boston. Then it kind of thins out at the end of the year, ending on Boston. But, those are all playoff contender teams. Really, the only teams that they're playing that are not playoff contenders will be a 4-game series in Oakland. They'll play a 3-game series in Toronto, at home against Toronto, and they'll play a 3-game series at Detroit. 9 games the rest of the way against teams who probably are not going to be in the postseason this season. Everyone else is vying for a spot.
Before we get into the trade deadline bonanza that pretty much occurred the entire month of July for the Rays, the Pinellas County vote was completed, 5-2 vote. So the Rays are here to stay. With that in mind, Evan, did you somehow hear or read the report, the bombshell report from the New York Post, as to the Rays fire sale being tied to a busted sale to sell the team?
Yeah, I saw it. And remember, the New York Post is pretty much, it's a tabloid. It's not, they probably had one source who was involved in some financial discussions with Stu, and there's nothing to say that Stu didn't piss them off too. Right. We've known for a year now that Stu was looking to sell, or we've had those rumors, right? We had it in May of last year. We had it in September of last year. So this is nothing that's out of the ordinary. I think on WDAE, I heard Brian Auld speak with T-Crass about, we are seeking capital for the stadium. And when you do that, we're asking for money. There are deals that are happening. I'm not saying that there's stuff that's not happening behind the scenes. Stu Sternberg's trust, the fan base's trust in Stu Sternberg's is super thin. So I'm not here to say you got to believe every word that's coming out of their mouths as well. But I think that generally speaking, ever since the onset of getting the stadium, it's always been the thought that Stu will probably sell the team at some point in the relatively near future. But you have to also remember that the state, whoever's going to buy the Rays is buying into that development. And the language that the city council had in their contracts towards the end there kind of clarified some of those statements, saying that if Stu did sell the team, that he would not be on as a developer, right? He's probably going to sell those rights to whoever takes over the Rays. You got to remember that Major League Baseball will have to vet whoever comes through. So it's not like it's going to be some dude out of nowhere fleecing everybody, right? It's going to be properly vetted. So there are levels to this. The stadium's coming. Will Stu be here by the end of it? Will the Rays and Hines fulfill all the promises made in the agreement? We don't know. It's a 3+ decade long agreement. And a lot of times in some of these projects, there's a lot of shape shifting, and the original deal you started out with is not the original deal, or it's not what you're going to see at the end of it, right? So that's just normal stuff. So I would be shocked if what we're talking about today is what we see in 30 years. But the stadium is going to be the anchor, And
Right.
that is the whole point of Stu raising the valuation in the Rays and also convincing someone to buy the Rays is saying, hey, not only do you have the baseball team, and I understand the attendance is going to help you out and corporate sponsorships aren't going to help you out, but you have a stake in the land. And that's the money that is going to bring you income to invest in this. So that's the whole. I mean, even if Stu stayed on, that would always be my argument of how he can maybe raise payroll a little bit, is because he's now making money on the land. So, right. Yeah, like I saw that, and there are a bunch of typos in it, and it's a private equity reporter who is trying to kind of like get into
He's trying to foment clicks, basically.
1,000%, right?
Yeah.
It's a private equity reporter trying to take information he got and put into sports terms without really fully grasping what the sports of it is. He knows the private equity part. I'm sure he's well connected there, but he doesn't know the sports part of it. But you know what's going to get the clicks? Me telling you that they're selling off, mentioning Ahmed Rosario in the article of like, you know, it's like,
right.
You know, and not to mention, it's like, you know, Eflin was going to make big money next year, right? That makes sense. He was probably going to be he was going to be offloaded anyway in the offseason, if not this season. If they were fire sailing, why didn't they sell off Yandy? Why didn't they sell off Bilal? They're making $8.5 million. Why didn't they complete the deal? Right? If you're going to fire sale and you need the money, why aren't you going all in on it? So it's to me, it's not a fire sale if you have assets that people are asking about and you're keeping them.
You have to try Liquid IV's Firecracker flavor. It's a surefire summer hit. You get hydrated with electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients from the #1 powdered hydration brand in America. It's really quite simple to use, and you can use it anywhere. If you're having a flight, during a workout, if there's hot days, and if you're in Tampa Bay, guess what? There's plenty of those days. So tear, pour, live more. One stick and 16 ounces of water hydrates you better than water alone. There's no need for more thirsty summers when you indulge in hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you get to liquidiv.com. Use code MLB at checkout. Pretty easy code, MLB. 20% off your first order when you shop better. Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com.
Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business, and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com and their free Trade Master program. Let's remind you, join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at SupplyHouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com.
So
what gets more views, this article or our tweet reporting that Yandy Diaz and Randy Rosarena didn't get along because their wives didn't get along?
You know,
so,
Kevin just dropped bombs that day, man. He was.
I had some bombs. I had some nuggets. Very close to Stu's.
You know, it's somebody. Sometimes you go to the plate, you go 4 for 4 with 2 dingers, and that was Kevin Weiss right there.
Yeah,
Kevin on the Twitter machine was just
those chicken nuggets, if you will.
Yeah. Just naturally in all those reports. Let me just say this, just the final bow on it. All right, I'm not saying that there's nothing to take away from those articles, but you have to always remember that that's coming from one side of it, and I'm sure it was a one source article. And I did find the most interesting part about it, mentioning a $10 billion owner who was going to was going to buy the sale of it. I don't know about you. There's not a lot of $10 billion individuals in this world. No. So you can go into Forbes right now. You can kind of pepper around 8.5 to 10 million in that range. And there's a few names out there that work in private equity who you can probably bing, 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 or who are linked to other sports teams too. So I'm just saying it, to me, that was sort of like the way, I kind of go like, who's private equity, who's from the New York area, who's making $8.5 to $10 million. From there, you kind of get a list of like 3 or 4 names.
I didn't want to say it, guys, but my Venezuelan connection with Elon Musk is pretty stable right now. So that's all I'll say about that.
The in-stadium Wi-Fi would be amazing.
Oh my gosh, man. It would be. But you know what would be better? Closky on the clock, baby. Come on, let's have some fun, folks.
Closky on the clock.
Closky on the clock.
Closky on the clock.
Closky on the clock here.
All right, there we go. Yeah, Closky on the clock trade deadline edition, which I do love the trade deadline. It is like the 1 or 2 days where I feel like baseball's at the forefront and people are really invested and tied into social media and news and television and what's the next shoe to drop, if you will. So I'm all about it. It's like the time of the year where baseball shines. One of the few times of the year where baseball can shine. Can't shine in October because football's going on. So
exactly.
Ulises, you want to open it up with first question for
first question might be a little bit loaded, but we haven't seen you since it happened. Just brush strokes on the Isaac Paredes trade. Were you surprised? Were you okay with the return? Everything kind of involving it just in a big picture kind of way.
First off, was not surprised. If you guys are listening to Locked On Rays, you know that I brought up Isaac Paredes. In fact, in the episode right before he got traded that I was on, I mentioned about the reasoning behind it, and it does eventually clear up a spot for Junior Caminero. The return was, when I first saw the return, felt a little light to me. I thought that it was going to be this huge return. And then hearing that the Rays have been coveting Christopher Morel for a long time, it seems like the Rays were willing to kind of take a little bit less on Isaac to finally get the guy that they've been searching. Hunter Biggie, by the way, I think is a relief arm that you have to know. I think he's a really cool piece. He's not a sexy prospect because he's just a reliever, but he's going to be a fun arm in that bullpen for a handful of years. So overall, not surprised. Felt a little light out of the gates. We'll miss Isaac, but it makes a lot of sense. And I've mentioned that on a previous episode if you want to go back to my last time about why I would not be shocked. And I believe, by the way, on 10 Tampa Bay, I had my 3 names that I was looking at in the trade deadline. It was Rosario, it was Eflin, it was Isaac Paredes, all of them dealt.
There we go. Between the Eflin deal, the Randy deal, the Adams deal, heck, all the deals, if you want, which deal do you feel like netted the best return, best value for the Rays?
So I actually think that the Randy Arozarena deal might have like the best player. That Brody Hopkins is a freak athlete. Just when that trade was released, kind of didn't understand what was going on. And a lot of people have opinions immediately when this happens. You got to go to the people who really know what they're talking about. And they just all rave about this man. So I think my highest ceiling name out there is from the Randy Arozarena deal, but the best deal that they made was Jason Adam. I love Jason. I mentioned on the show before, I would kind of be surprised considering all his under the hood numbers look pretty good. And if you were going to trade Pete, you kind of needed Jason, but they ended up keeping Pete and trading Jason. And in doing so, you got a top 75 prospect, a dude who I think mirrors how Taj Bradley doesn't have the speed of Bradley, but they're going to do to Dylan Lasco what they did to Taj Bradley. To get that return for an 8th inning guy, a very good one. We love Jason, a very good arm.
Yeah.
But to get that for a 32-year-old reliever, that was a haul. So I was impressed with what they were able to get with Jason, and you can understand why they traded him, considering it was a very convincing offer, especially of how they got to add some really good pieces to our farm system.
If the Dylan Lesko situation gets solved, of hey,
he's got to throw strikes again, right?
My gosh,
came off a big arm injury, doesn't throw strikes right now, but this guy was, for some scouts, one of the best arms they've ever seen at the high school level. So the high ceiling is there, and the thing about all these deals, I've mentioned this long ago, is that their farm system was loaded with these middle infielder bats. Essentially, they were really light on arms, and even someone like Montgomery, who, if you look at MLB Pipeline, which hasn't really been updated since the beginning of the season, you got to kind of go to Baseball America, Fangraphs, and MLB Pipeline, and then generate an opinion. But Montgomery hasn't been great this year. I don't know what's going on with him. So they needed an infusion of arms, and they kind of used these trades. Instead of drafting arms, they've now allowed others to they've allowed tape to kind of get out there. They can scout them, and they've brought them in through other farm systems and replenished that way. And I'm sure they'll continue to do the same kind of thing that they've been doing with their drafts, and continue to attack hitters and guys with speed, lefties, middle infielders, yada, yada, yada. So I just thought overall the process of what they've done made a lot of sense.
Brody Hopkins, you said, is an electric arm. One of the most electric biceps I've seen have been Yandy Diaz. And electric torque in Brendan Lau. And those are the last two names that we haven't talked about yet. Surprised that they were not traded. Do you think that this means that they're not going to pick up Brendan Lau's option and might come back like Zunino did on a reduced salary? Is Yandy now a lock to be traded in the offseason? Or, hey, you don't have any veterans in the clubhouse and the guy's still pretty good at hitting and he should probably be in the team. What do you think? Game Time lets you save so much money with their last minute deals. You can save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, whatever you want. They have it. They've got zone deals where you can save even more when you just choose a section and let Game Time's algorithm choose the seats. And my favorite, the seat views. You get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. And they have the lowest price guarantee. Or Game Time will credit you with 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Yeah, I think that Yandy, Bilal, I would not be shocked if one of them or both go in the offseason. We'll see. I think that they're still, with what they've done at the trade deadline, they can still push to make the playoffs this season while also revisiting kind of where those two pieces go and kind of see how everything works out. It just remains to be seen. I mean, Yandy plays first base. His legs are kind of going. I don't think there's really a hitter that they can replace with Yandy. As far as Bilal, when healthy, you're seeing it. This man is a tremendous hitter and adds unreal pop at that second base position. It's just like, are you going to put Morel at second base long time? It seems like it's a little bit of a logjam, and they might use Brandon to fix another issue, get something else, or we'll see. So long story short, I would be actually surprised if Brandon and Yandy were back next season. But let's kind of see how this season goes and formulate opinions from there.
All right, final Closky on the clock, trade deadline edition here. A, B, C, D, F. How would you grade the Rays trade deadline? And I guess you can go all the way back until they started with Maton Savali, the entire course of action that happened.
I'll go A minus, B plus. It's hard to give it a full A when it's so many prospects. We just don't know how all of this is going to work out. But again, this was a mediocre team. They're now slightly above mediocre. They're 55 and 53. And they were able to trade from positions of power, which Zach Eflin they don't need entering next season. Their rotation stacked. Jason Adam, great relief pitcher, but they've always found relief pitchers. Isaac Paredes was blocking one of the best prospects in the game. Ahmed Rosario was a 1-year deal. Aaron Savali, again, they don't need him for the rotation next year. Phil Maton was a 1-year deal, and it just did not work out. Tyler Zuber, whatever, you picked him up midway through the season. Sean Armstrong was an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. You got Dylan Carlson, who maybe it works out for him in a change of scenery, maybe it doesn't. Did I forget one other name?
No, it was pretty. It was pretty.
Well, there are a lot of major leaguers that were traded for a lot.
The fact of the matter is, they didn't negotiate 2025 in all of this, and in doing so, they picked up 9 or 10 prospects, and they got their long coveted major leaguer in Christopher Morel, who we've all talked about on here. This team needs power. Yeah. They need power. Junior's going to do it. He'll come up. Christopher Morel's got power. He's got 30 home run potential. And by the way, Morel's hitting profile, one of his favorite parks based on his hitting profile, Tropicana Field, and he doesn't have to deal with the wind at Wrigley anymore.
That's right.
So that is a guy that maybe he'll trend more towards Brandon Lau in his career with the Rays, right? Like low average, great eye, and hits a bunch of homers. But those guys typically are important players, and he's got a little Riz to him.
Yeah, he does.
Riz.
Yes, he does.
And they kind of need that for all the guys that left the building. You got to have kind of an energizer. You got to have some
oomph.
We haven't seen anybody, and Brett Phillips was a great personality, but we haven't seen anybody with kind of this zest since Willy Adames. And I think they've missed that Willy Adames kind of lovable leadership type of character. They haven't quite had that in a while. Like Jose Siri's got Riz, but it's not the same. His is it's just
more
different.
Cocky, arrogant Riz.
A little bit. It trends towards that, right? Morel just plays with fire, and he's smiley. It's just like he just seems like he's always having a good time. So
I think Rays fans know exactly what you mean when you say Willy Adames reference. Like that's exactly what he exudes. Exactly what he exudes.
Awesome. Well, great Closky on the clock there. By the way, before we get to baseball trivia, name that war, just to put another bow on the report from the New York Post. To me, it seems like crazy that Stu Sternberg wouldn't want to be the owner as the new stadium opens. At least see that first season of, hey, you got to this point, like stay through there and then sell the team in 2028.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Wanted to throw aside.
That would, I agree with you. I would imagine the valuation once it's built officially goes up once you have proof of product.
Right.
That's just sort of my view on it. But, who knows? Stu might cut a good deal if he needs the capital to say, hey, finish out the product. I'll cash out my $1 billion. And I just made $800 million on this whole thing.
Give me a box suite for perpetuity and I'm good to go. All right. Baseball trivia, name that war. Switcheroo today. Evan will be presenting the trivia question to myself and Ulises, and then I will have name that war for y'all. So what do you got, Evan?
So I just mentioned it, right? Christopher Morel, huge power, 30 home run potential. All right. He's replacing a guy named Isaac Paredes, who hit 31 last year. All right. That's a tie for 13th in team history. Name me the 12 other, I would say, players. A couple have done it twice. So I think it's 10 players. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8 players who have hit more than 31 home runs in a season for the Rays. And 2 of those names have done it twice. That's where the other ones come from.
So we need to name 8 players.
Oh, sorry. 9 players.
9 players. Okay.
We got this, bro. We got this. Let's go dark horse first. So like CJ Cron.
Strike one. He hit 30 in 2018.
It's got to be 31 or more.
It's got to be it's got to be more than 31.
More than 31, so 32 or more.
Okay. Correct. 32 or more.
Just 30. Okay, gotcha. Okay, sorry, my bad.
Can we get a redo on that one? Can we check?
Yeah, that's fine.
I thought it was 30. My
automatic
bad.
ball strikes.
No, I said more. It had to be more than Isaac Paredes.
Okay, fair enough. Evan Longoria, 2016.
Yeah, that's one. Of course, he did it twice. He had 32 in 2013, and he had 36 in 2016.
Carlos Pena.
Carlos Pena leads all-time franchise history, 46 in a season in 2007. Also had 39 in 2009.
How do you feel about Logan Morrison, Kevin?
I think he did have 32.
I think so too. Let's go with Lomo.
Lomo, 38 in 2017.
Okay. Who are we missing? Did Zunino?
Actually, I think he's like right there at like 31. Damn. But actually, maybe 33. He had 33, maybe.
Mike Zunino.
33 in 2021.
Let's go, baby. How do you feel about Brad Miller? Sucky.
I was
glove.
thinking Brad Miller. Let's go for it.
Let's go for
Brad Miller is strike one. He had 30 in 2016.
Damn it.
Did Brandon Lau hit more than 30?
Oh yeah, he hit 39.
Brandon Lau, 39, 2021.
So we have 5 thus far. Longo, Pena,
You need 4 more.
What about like Canseco or
exactly.
Vaughn
Let's go 98, 99. Vinny Castilla, you think?
I like Vinny Castilla, the hit show with an S in front of it.
Yes.
Strike 2. He is not in the top 25.
All right. Okay, we got to protect here.
We really have to protect here.
Okay, so more than 31, and this team rarely gets any power. Steven Souza in 2017, I think he had like 30, so I'm not saying him.
Let's table that one for now, but I like the idea. Now we're getting into the weeds here.
Oh, by the way, Evan Longoria did it 3 times. That's where my count was off. So he also had 33 in 2009. I was like 9. I couldn't figure it out.
Not a guess. I'm just
31, I think he had, right?
Meadows.
31 in 21.
Oh, it's so tough.
31, 32, or 33. He was right there.
Okay. Table that one, I guess.
Table that one in Souza.
I'm kind of tabling that one. I don't know if we need to go back in the deep end of maybe Aubrey Huff.
Maybe, but
All right, I'll let you guess. Give me your name.
No. Let's see. Anybody else in the Devil Rays uniform?
The only Devil Rays guys I can think of outside of Paul Sorrento, of course. Inside joke. Greg Vaughn, Vinny Castilla, Fred McGriff. McGriff?
Crime Dog? You want to Crime Dog it over
Fred
Souza?
McGriff, Hall of Famer.
All right.
32 in 99.
Woo! The Crime Dog comes in clutch, though. Oh, that lefty swing. Always clutch. Thank you, Fred.
All right. Now we're going to need some help.
How many do we need?
3 more.
Mother. What? Okay. We have tabled Souza, and we have tabled Meadows. It's time to unlock one of those.
Okay. Austin Meadows.
Austin Meadows is correct. 33 in 2019.
Let's go.
And he's hit like 2 since then.
Yeah.
Souza, Vaughn.
Souza, Vaughn. Anybody that we're forgetting from 2010? BJ? Did BJ do it?
I don't think he ever got 32. I think the most he got was like
27.
27.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay. Are we missing anybody like that? Rocco never did it.
No.
Delman Young.
No.
Never did it.
He just made anti-Semitic comments all the time.
Yep. That he did.
Sorry.
That he did. Dude, I think we
gotta guess. Pitch clock.
Souza. Let's do Souza.
Strike 3. Souza had 30 in 2017. You're gonna hate yourself because you said the other 2.
Oh no.
Jose Canseco, 34 in 99.
Of course.
And Aubrey Huff, 34 in 2003. You had him out there. You had him on your lineup card.
Damn.
And you decided not to start him.
How do really bad teams have more
some
home run hitters than now teams?
Take
Yeah, I
note.
mean, Aubrey Huff had 29. Jorge Cantu had 28 and 05. Upton, BJ Upton had 28 in 2012. Greg Vaughn, 28 in 2000. Corey Dickerson, 27 in 2017. And then, you had another couple of incidents of Evan Longoria. You had Carlos Pena. He did it again in those kind of that 27 to 31 range. So that pretty much fills everything out. Oh, and Aubrey Huff did, he had 29.
Okay.
So he did.
That's a pretty damn good trivia there.
No, that's a good trivia. We appreciate it. Quick name that war. I want within 5 seconds each of you to give me a number. This guy, the Rays are playing the Astros this weekend, correct? Mm-hmm. This guy was quite the notable Astros player, played most of his career for them. Lance Berkman, career baseball player.
Wow, off the top of the dome, really good player. 39.8.
Okay.
49.2.
Oh, that's a big difference. So Lance Berkman was an outfielder, first baseman, 6-time All-Star, 2011 World Series champion, 1,905 hits, 366 homers, 293 career batting average. That's about what I've got. 537 career slug, 943 career OPS. Played 15 years in the league, by the way. 144 career OPS plus.
Damn.
So, man, he hit a lot of doubles too. 55 one year, 46 another year.
Wow.
Nice. He was really, and he walked like crazy. He had 127 walks in 2004. Yeah, he was putting up monster numbers. With that, his career WAR is not 39.8. It's not 49.2. It is getting up there and possibly getting a couple Hall of Fame votes. 51.9.
Wow. Okay.
Close.
You were close.
Close.
Yeah, it's sad because that's one I wish I could have flushed that out a little bit. I was afraid that the position was going to hold him back.
Yeah, once he said that, I'm like, oh, why didn't I include that into my?
See, that was my off the top of my dome. I was like, not a good position, so I got to deduct him points. And
I didn't even take it into consideration. But I got scared.
I'm pretty sure he was an elite fielder too, so I shouldn't have waited so much.
Yeah, he finished top 10 in MVP voting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and then was 14th another year. 1 year he had 136 RBIs and didn't lead the league in that category. So I'm guessing Barry Bonds or somebody had more than him that year. So
nice.
All right, Evan, you are the man. You rock. How can people find your amazing work?
1010bay.com, 1010bay plus at Closky WTSP. Most active on the X. Hit me up. I'll make it a quick one tonight for you.
All right. In the meantime, hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you on Friday.